Okay, welcome to the prayer circle, y'all. We got pleasant surprises. I'm so happy. I got two friends here. And so I'm so grateful that you guys are here in the circle. And this is medicine. This is great medicine. It's medicine for me and definitely medicine for whoever's watching, who will be watching, to see women together in circle right now. For the last five um, series or episodes, we're doing a series right now, almost finished actually. Um, I've been going over Yogananda's wisdom. So let me see here. If you don't know who Yogananda is, for those who are new and will be watching soon, that's Yogananda right there. And he has wonderful, in Encinitas, I believe, he has a wonderful uh, temple and center and botanical garden look overlooking the beach, and it's just so beautiful. But his wisdom is very nice. And for those of you as well who know, my name is Raven Jasmine. I'm a psychic medium, a yoga instructor, a medicine woman, and a psychic counselor. So a lot of the things that I do, it's varied, but I acknowledge every single faith. So the circle and the intention of this circle is prayer. But we also go over text and different things that intuitively, very much intuitively, whatever I choose to read or talk or speak over, it's very much intuitive and channeled. And I'm always inviting anyone who wants to share anything that intuitively comes to them as well. If it comes to you, to share some text, to share. Um, we also have go over the Bible as well. We go over the Bhagavad Gita. We go over like my one of my favorites to reference often is the Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. We'll go over many different things. Soon I'm going to get into the Egyptian Book of the Dead, and maybe also the Quran. And this is, we have a lifetime to do this, guys. So there's never material we will run out of. But the point is not to convert anybody. We're not here to convert anybody to anything. Your faith is your faith. We are. I acknowledge that we are one. Every text on the planet acknowledges this in their own way. Every faith acknowledges that we are one, that we are one human race, and we are one human being. We are one essence. And the way it's expressed, the way it's practiced, the way it's acknowledged may be different, and that's okay. But something that I noticed is that even though we have differences in the way that we connect with God in the Christian faith, in the Hindu faith, in the Native Americans, in the Yoruba, the Ifa traditions, and others, it may be different in our expression, but we all do one thing, and that is pray. We all pray, period. And we may even, the sound of our prayer might be different because our languages or how we do it might be different. But I figured that we can unite in this one thing, no matter the differences, and then intuitively explore the different texts, explore each other's differences in the way each other knows about the creator, or just to be educated, just to understand. We don't have to take on anything from anyone else, but we might like a little something, or it just be nice to be informed. So occasionally we go over these things. Um, I want to start by just saying that we're going to continue these cards. So my friend Vivian Ingrid, she gave me these wisdom cards by Yogananda, and there's a few of them, a lot of them actually, and I went over a lot of them already. Um, and so now we're on number 6. Last week we went over the card enlightenment. This week it's the card prayer. And so I'm going to read what that says soon, and then we'll get deeper into what this one is. If you look back, you could see there's other ones that we went over. One was about faith. One was about fate. Another was about patience. That one was really good. Another was about cheerfulness, which was also really good. Realization, and there's so many more. Um, but let's pray as I'm hearing the owl outside right now. Connect and say hi. Heavenly Father, Creator, Mother Goddess, the Master of all things, I thank you so much, Yahweh. I thank you so much for this day. I thank you for the pleasant surprises of today. Thank you so much for this circle. Thank you for the wisdom that's about to come through from these beautiful, beautiful, beautiful women. Thank you so much for sharing their medicine. Thank you so much for the church right here, right here, right here, and who's watching and who will be watching. And thank you to those who have been watching, tuning in, and being committed to your prayer practice, or even beginning and starting the brave journey. Of beginning a prayer practice simply because you've been watching here and staying in tune. I appreciate you. I appreciate the faith prayer warriors. I appreciate it. I ask for the divine heavenly white light of protection to cover the prayer circle, to cover every faith prayer warrior of this circle, helping us master our minds, master our bodies, master our heart, master our attention. The Holy Spirit just told me to say those things right now. And I thank you so much for helping us and for blessing us. I call upon the angels of the heavenly realm. I call upon the warring angels, the guardian angels, all that is of what I call the tribe of light, just the whole tribe of the spiritual realm that is on our side, that is of the heavenly love space. I thank you so much. And you guys have many names, whoever you was going to be watching. I know you have many names for this space because we have Krishna, Buddha, Allah, Yeshua, Mary, all of them, Oshun, everybody, right? So I'm acknowledging every single um, version, personality of the one great master that we have on this planet. I call Yahweh. I also like to call Baba, Mama, Yaya, Papa. And so many, 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 many names she has, right? So just thank you so much for the blessings of today, Yahweh. Thank you so much for guiding us and guarding us and protecting us. Please surround our children with your white light of protection as well, and anyone connected to them, and their teachers and their those who help us in caring for them and teaching them. Please surround them with your white light of protection, and all those connected to the kids as well, and all those connected to us, our families, our friends. We ask for a covering. I ask for a covering of, I'm feeling to say this now, over everyone's mental health, over their mental health. Please protect the mental health. I've been saying this prayer a lot for the children and for our families. Protect their mental health, their emotional health, their physical health, their spiritual health, their creative health, their financial health, and any other way that you know that can be. I thank you so much for the medicine that they need and bringing that with ease and peace and harmony in a way that is as pain free for everybody involved. In the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, I love to pray, y'all, but I acknowledge every faith on this planet because I know that we are one. Ashe. Okay, so if you feel to say any kind of prayer right now to also add into opening the circle, please do so. And I'm going to get into reading this thing here. You guys feel like any prayer you want to say? You feeling good right now? Okay, no worries. Okay, I'll go in. Okay, so I have this card. Okay, is prayer. It says, when God does not respond to your prayers, it is because you are not in earnest. If you offer him dry imitation prayers, you cannot expect to claim the Heavenly Father's attention. The only way to reach God through prayer is by persistence, regularity, and a depth of earnestness. Cleanse your mind of all negotiation, such as fear, worry, anger. Then fill it with thoughts of love, service, and joyous expectation. In the sanctum of your heart, there must be enshrined one power, one joy, one peace, God. And so I thank you for this medicine. Thank you for this reminder. Thank you for Yogananda, just one of the teachers, the many teachers that God comes down to share through, right? Um, I appreciate this message because I could say it with myself in the prayer journey that I've had. I've definitely learned this quickly early on, right? I started the prayer journey for me, seeking to build that muscle since about 18 when I realized, wow, I didn't have a relationship. I wanted to know, what is that relationship? I was hearing from others, it's a relationship. And I was like, what? Like, you can have a relationship with God? I thought it was this kind of outward thing. I spoke outwardly and occasionally when I wanted something, like I didn't really understand relationship. But so that sparked my curiosity. And then when I began the practice of prayer, it felt really hard, really hard. Like I felt like I was lifting weights. And I hear that often from people like, yeah, feels like lifting weights when you begin. Even writing, when I started at the same time, I started practicing writing a gratitude list. At the same time, I started experimenting with identifying what I'm grateful for. And at this time, I was um, in between pregnancies and homeschooling and a wife at the time. And I was um, also going through deep depression and lethargy and just all of the, just, I was suicidal. It was just not good at the time. So I really was seeking to get out of my pain. And so that's what sparked the journey of me wanting to create relationship and find relationship. But it felt really hard, and I was like, why does this feel, why can I think of even three things to write that I'm grateful for? It just was like, okay, an aha moment. And then prayer was really hard as well. And in one way or another, through many different healing modalities, but very quickly it was brought to my attention that it is a muscle. Prayer is a muscle. Using your vishuddha, in the Sanskrit, they would say vishuddha, the throat chakra. Using that is a power source, a power space that we have to make things happen, to create, and to communicate, and to have relationship. Um, and so that was something for me that I always used negatively. I never used this tool. I never was taught to use it that in a way to make things happen. I never was taught to use it in a way that honored anyone, let alone myself. I was always shown the example to use it in a way of just complaining. Just complaining all day. And not saying I'm perfect at it still, but it's a lot stronger for sure than it used to be. When I speak, when I say things, I'm careful now because over the years, I've seen the power of this one. What I speak comes true, period. And so, and this is also the power you have too, that we have too. But it's a muscle, just like building strength in your, if you don't have, and with the brain muscle too, the brain's a muscle, the leg muscles, arm muscles, if we don't practice using it in a positive way, it can go in atrophy. Or if we use it in a negative way, it's like spitting poison. It's like we're spitting out poison. But when we don't have awareness of that, it can be um, hard to recognize whether we're using this for good or we're using this for not so good, whether we're using it in a way that feeds the soul or doesn't feed the soul. Um, I remember just briefly when I was a kid in church, I was in and out of the Christian church. The first 4 years of my life, I was raised Buddhist. My grandpa was Buddhist, and we were in the Buddhist temples. And then after that, it was in and out of the Christian church. And I remember vaguely there being a verse. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember them saying about how there it was a part about talking about, maybe in the comments if anybody remembers these verses, but they were talking about the food that you eat, the nourishment that you eat, like what's right and wrong to eat for the body. Do we eat meat, fruit, vegetables? And there was detailed explanation about this, about what's good to eat, what animals to stay away from, and certain things. But I remember there was a part that said it's not so much as important of what you put into your mouth, but as it is of what comes out of your mouth. It was that, I'm just paraphrasing, but that was a powerful part there. And another part I remember how it, because those two parts, even as a kid, hit my spirit in a way that made me feel like, that felt good, that felt right. Okay, I'm taking that golden nugget in. Another part was um, about what we speak and into people, how we can it was essentially saying to be careful what we speak, because we could speak into people, positive or negative. And I also even remember this from, I believe it's Don Miguel Ruiz's The Four Agreements. But just when I read that book, even too, I remember having an aha moment when I was young, like, oh, I have the power to help people's dreams come true by just speaking life into them and catching an agreement with them. And that in itself is a prayer. I could speak to, they like just in a conversation. I would, once I figured out I could do that, I was like doing it all the time. I was having conversations with people, and I still do this. And I'll hear what they like, and they'll tell me I want to be this, or I want to have this. And I'll agree with them right away and say, yes, you're gonna do this. I'll affirm that, whatever. And you could see immediately whether they would receive it or they were caught off guard, because it's like, uh-oh, now they know it's gonna come true. And they don't they're kind of like regretting, like, I don't know if I was ready for it actually. But the power, I discovered the power of this voice and speaking out. And the Four Agreements talks about, as well as the Bible and many other texts, when two or more come into an agreement, whether speaking out loud or in heart, it becomes so, period. And that's the foundational intention of this prayer. Of this prayer circle. So I was just sharing a little bit about that and just saying how I built the muscle and the strength of this. And this speaks about relationship. That I remember another part as well of the Bible talking about. I'm slowly studying the Bible. It's something I'm learning more and more to memorize. There's so many verses. I just remember the feeling of the verses over me. And so now I'm studying very slowly and memorizing. But I just remember another part where it talks about, prayer. And it talks about there's kind of two ways of prayer, or different ways of prayer. And you could be, if you're just praying, just speaking things with no heart, no intention, no focus on it, it could be like it says it's like clanging cymbals, or like almost like pots and pans, just together. It's not really doing anything. And in this way, it talks about that. It talks about having a certain earnestness, a certain intention with our prayer and focus. So for those who are new prayer warriors, or you're on the journey and you've been following with me and you're learning and you're exploring, you're trying to figure out your prayer relationship, right? Yeah, most people will come to this point where, especially if you're new in the practice, where you notice it kind of becomes, or it starts very robotic, or like you're not really in tune. And maybe you'll have an awareness of that. So I just ask you, what has your prayer relationship been so far? And by the way, this is generally supposed to go between 8 to 9 o'clock, but often we go over. So if you have time to stay, please stay. And whenever you want to go off, just go off, okay? But I want to ask you about your prayer relationship. How did it start? Or do you have one, or you're just starting? And tell me, how did it go? Have you ever experienced this part where it was very bland, and when you recognized that, and what was the moment of how you changed it? What made you change it? What made you deepen your relationship, if at all? Who has to start? Lamore?
I can go. I would say that my relationship started in Sunday school. My grandfather would pick me up and take me to Sunday school every Sunday, and they loved that. And once it transitioned from Sunday school to church, and judgment and the kind of little bit of separation from Jesus. I was like, wait, like, what are we doing here? Like, Jesus and that whole thing was it. And I got to the adult part and I was like, we lost something, guys. Like, hellfire and brimstone's not it. And my whole body knew that. But I still had just this deep, you know, connection. I think growing up, going to church under large awnings outside, right? Not in buildings, because I was going to church in Hawaii at a time where you were like, they were building, right? There wasn't buildings. And so that transition to see church go into buildings, to see fear come into the religious practice was kind of hard eventually for my body to metabolize, and the judgment that then I saw come with it. And so I went through like a lot of years um, of, I feel like, religious trauma then. And I think that's where it ended up returning me to more prayer circles and ceremonies and those other types of spaces where what's the balance here? Um, and I think the balance that I found is learning that and returning to um, this wisdom that is emerging in that, Mary was as much of a magical being as Jesus was, and that divine union and that story of separation of the masculine is who contains and brings you to God. Like, Jesus's message was that the divine is running through all of us, and that you just have to get into deep listening. And like you said, that relationship, but I think that relationship begins with listening. And I think that the power of the throat is that we're in this society where I guess I would use the analogy that as a child I felt love. Love was an embodiment and a radiance in Sunday school. And then they took you from here to here. And the marrying of those two, where the mind and the heart connect through the voice, is where the listening needs to come, because there's all these stories that get embedded, whether they're religion or your family or the media programming. And then there's this setting in the heart. And so I think what I did was kind of set entirely to body based to get me out of my head. And I'm at this point of marrying the two in asking the divine to move through my voice and to move through how I show up every day. But in order to let the divine move through you, you gotta listen. So sometimes for me, prayer is just shutting up and listening and being like, what is the message? What is the message trying to move through my body? What is in the way of the messages coming through my body? What needs to be cleared? What needs to be tended to? Um, what does my body need to become a clearer channel? Is become my prayer practice.
Thank you for sharing that. I love that because you described how your journey was very rooted in connection with yourself always. Actually, your body, you went into spaces, into different religious spaces that showed you different things, you heard different things, but your body always told you if it was accurate or not. I think that's really important for someone to recognize, to remember that. Because same, even through dating, oh my gosh, my body told me so much. That person ain't it, but I never listened. You know, the same thing with the church. Like too, there was, as a kid, I remember too that there would be things that the pastor would say, and I'd be like, something about that don't fit right. But I would see the old grandmas in the front, and I always felt their energy of non-judgment. regardless of when they, and I could feel as a kid, I could feel they knew that what he was saying, the way he was interpreting it. It never was that when the pastor was reading the verses that I thought the verses were wrong. It was the way that he interpreted it. Sometimes I could feel was not right, but I would feel also the old lady grandmas in the front, and I could feel their grace. I could feel their grace. I could feel their prayer constant. It's like they weren't even really in the space of the room. They were listening. They'll be, but at times they were just there, presence, quiet in the space, and even holding prayer for the pastor and grace, knowing that that person needs more deepening in their connection or relationship, or bring clarity about what they just read to them so they can understand deeper, stuff like that. My body knew something was not right, or when it was, when the pastor did say something right or interpreted it correctly. It's important for one who's starting a prayer relationship for you to recognize when your body's feeling something resonant or not. And not everything that we don't feel resonant even needs to necessarily be jumped on and attacked or
Mm-mm.
judged right away. Sometimes it's just an invitation to be witnessed, to be seen, to be observed, to learn from, and even can be spirits telling me right now what's coming through. I didn't think of this, but to create from. I never really noticed that. So
I
I'll give
think
you more a chance.
the other thing too is that, like, this is a pretty vulnerable story, but I feel called to share. Um, So I had a severed relationship with the church, which I think really severed my relationship with the divine for a while because of the judgment that I experienced. And I notice a lot of people have that, like when the most powerful prayer warriors, because they're tied to the church, are can be sometimes some of the most judgmental people, or the sources where you as a child also received pain. um, for me, that experience was, going with my grandparents were my anchor to God. And when I got drugged and raped in college, my grandfather told me that it was because I had too much sin in my life. And so I fully retracted from church and then had a couple of invitations back. And on one invitation back, like the person that I went back with asked me why. And I just, right before the service started, I told that story, and their face was like, oh, and you're sitting here right now? And I'm like, yeah, like I know that I want this back. So I'm sitting here in church curious. And the intuitive part that came through in that space was the the singing, the raising your voices. And I was like, ooh, this is the part I missed, like, and then they started passing around the plate and turning selling and turning God into a money making thing, and that we need to take over the government. And I was like, okay, nope, not that part. And then they started being like community, laying hands, loving on. I was like, yep, that part. So it was this interesting thing of like really feeling where the truth in and what parts you can hold to. And I would say that that journey has led me to a number of deepening into that practice and sitting in discomfort and sitting in projections or conflict, and asking yourself what parts of this are true. Like, where is the truth and where are the lies? And what threads are holding the light and what threads need to be cleared is also like a deep prayer practice.
Yeah, yeah. And I want to hear from you the more as well. I just wanted to point out real quick one more thing that you said, Brooke, which was silence. Silence
Mhm.
being prayer. I think that was really important to highlight. That's a relationship I've been deepening with. and discovering and witnessing and observing and being humbled by lately, especially with the contrast of having a space like this where I talk, 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 and I'm teaching all the time and I have kids and, stuff. Silence for me is golden. I need that silence time every day. The way I see it, I call it meditation. And for those who are newer to this, again, there's ways, though, what she's talking about is something different, a silent prayer, prayer and silence. I'm going to speak on that in a second. But there also is, there's prayer, which I identified prayer as communicating using your throat chakra, speaking outward, you talking to God, you talking outwards. Meditation is sitting and you listening to God, us listening to God, witnessing and observing what's happening inside of my spirit and being ready and open and willing to hear it, witness it, observe it, feel it rather than run away from the feeling or try to mask it with painkillers or whatever. Um, and meditation can be an active process as well, that with some techniques and for certain things can bring us a lot of ease, and we practice more ease and relaxes the nervous system and puts you almost like in a sleep state, awake. So you can really, when you get quality meditation, even 5-10 minutes of quality meditation, you come out of it and you feel like you've slept all night and had a really good rest if you do it right. um, but this silent prayer that she's talking about, it touches upon very similar to meditation. It's very similar to that. But then there's also things like silent retreats, which I've been feeling really called to go to like a 10-day silent retreat at some point. I'm working, I'm like arranging this. We're going to arrange one for us. So we're going to put a women's silent retreat together. Um, but this is necessary. I feel like the break, just like the earth when you're tilling the ground and gardening and farming and whatnot, the ground needs a break. She provides, she gives fruits, vegetables, thrives. Then she needs a period of just rest. And I feel like there's points in our life where I'm realizing now that we need rest. Our voice needs rest. Our body needs rest. We got to detox, right? We got to take a fast at times. And but what about sound? We don't really think about that our body also produces sound, right? And the sound coming out of us also has to take a rest. Has to take a rest. So in that, it allows ourselves to be cleaned out more in a very magical way. It's not really something that can be explained, how silence then cleans you. Then we can hear even more. And the last part I'll say before I let Lamore speak is because it also talks about this on the card as well, where where'd it go? It says the only way to reach God. Okay, what is it? It's not if you. Maybe it wasn't here, but basically, when we take that time in silence, you can pray also within you. For those that don't know and who are beginning prayer, we don't have to always pray outwardly using your sound. Some people can't use their voice, they just don't have that capability. Maybe they have that disability. God, prayer comes from the heart, it's intention. First and foremost, it is intention. And it connects with the mind, connects with the body. And then the outcome is your sound if you wish or if you have the capability to. But regardless whether you have the sound or not, prayer travels with the vibration of your heart, the vibration of your intention. Don't let anybody make you feel or think different, that you need to have this voice, that you need to speak this out. It's helpful and it's powerful, sure, speaking out affirmation, speaking out prayer. But the vibration of our heart is more powerful than anything. A little more. So, how has your journey been with prayer? How have you explored? Did you, at the beginning, first of all, I would like to know, when did it start? And at the beginning or any point, did you ever come to a point where you realized that your prayer was kind of robotic and not really connected? And then, if so, what was that aha moment, and what did you do to make it change, to really make it deeper?
Yes. So prayer for me started, well, when I was very young. I always remember feeling like very blessed. I always remember feeling special in some way. I always felt connected to God. I felt the most love at that moment as a child. And I remember I would pray every single night out loud. And it did feel a little bit scripted looking back. But at the time, I did what I thought was best. I did the prayer that I was taught. I remember I would go to sleep every night. I was always such a huge impact, like an empathetic child. And I would pray for everyone. I would spend like an hour praying for everyone that I've seen on the street, all the homeless people, just everyone. And when I was younger, my mom did have us in church on and off. And we would start in Christian church. We did a little bit of Baptist church. And I remember being at church. It never agreed with me. I never favored it too much. I remember I was in church and I would feel very bored. I would fall asleep. I would feel very disconnected. It felt very staged. It didn't feel personal to me until I always felt that connection inside though. But as I got older, I think something happened along the way and I got a little disconnected. We stopped going to church. It stopped being talked about as much, but I was never disconnected from God. I always knew and I always prayed to God. And in college, when I was in my last year of college, I went through this horrible breakup and I was feeling so depressed and I was so upset with God and I was so angry inside and I felt so alone. And through so much healing and meditation, I realized throughout that breakup or that heartbreak that it wasn't so much that breakup that broke my heart and that hurt me. It was before that I had been in relationship back to back. I hadn't been single at all, and so I was afraid of being alone. I literally would pray to God at night, crying my eyes out, like, please, because he cheated on me. And I was like, I'd rather stay with him than be alone. I'll do anything to not be alone. I don't want to feel this because I realized at that moment that I've been saying that I believe in God. I feel God connected with me, but I didn't think that God was with me in that moment. I was like, if God is real, why would he allow me to feel this much hurt, this much heartbreak? But in that moment when I was upset with God, I realized I'm still turning to God. I'm still turning to a higher power. I'm still believing, even when I thought that I didn't believe at all. And I was just so lost because I had spent so much time externally in these relationships to validate myself. Like I would clean my room just because my boyfriend at the time was coming over. I would do everything externally. I would never do anything for myself. So when I was forced to be alone, I didn't know who I was. I didn't have a hobby. I didn't know. I was just so lost and that scared me. And I had to build myself up and create my own life again. But I actually wasn't doing any of that. I was sitting in alignment and God and me created this beautiful life that I now live now and all these hobbies, and it brought me into connecting my mind and my body and my spirit through pole, through yoga, through meditation, through reading, through my practice, sound healing, everything. And now my journey is I do go to church from time to time. I found a church in Atlanta. That's where I went to school. So I listen in virtually. But mainly my practice is personally. It's finding alignment. And I really like the card too, because what I got from it was that alignment. Like I would pray out loud and I would pray before, but it felt so external outside of me. It felt like I was praying to some God on top of a mountain somewhere far, but God is not that. God is actually embodied, like inside of me. God is my soul. God is everything around me. God is sending me all of these beautiful prayers and all of these tokens and peace, wisdom for me to align myself and keep myself in alignment and stay grateful and keep attracting this abundant life that is me. And so throughout that time, I found all of these amazing books. Like I got into Margot Anand, I read The Four Agreements, I learned about Dr. Joe Dispenza, all of these different things that truly helped me create the life that I'm living now. And so now I'm just at a point where silence has become so important because I got to do this, I got to say this, like I have to do something. And that's the main reason why I did not like the relationship that I had with the church and with organized religion before was that transactional relationship. When it is a relational one, it's not, if I do this, I get this regardless. God provides air in my lungs regardless of what I do, food for me regardless of what I do or what I say. So just trying to remind myself constantly and stay in that alignment and readjust is a journey. And that's what I've been learning and practicing lately.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing your story in that. That is beautiful. You explained how you went through in and out of the church, just like me. You went in and out of the church, and you always sound like you were always a prayer warrior. Sound like just just came back from your previous prayer warrior life, just right back at it, right back to work. Because as a kid, doing that and consistently, that's a calling. That's a prayer warrior, and that's beautiful. And then of course, it's natural for anybody to go through something and lose their way for a second, but you still maintain. I like that you said you still maintain prayer relationship. It just didn't look like how it did before, and I think that's important for whoever's new. I have a feeling that who will see this at the right and perfect time. I trust the universe, whether it's years from now or today or tomorrow. Um, there are new prayer warriors who are developing their relationship, who are discovering their relationship, who are curious about it, or who are just maintaining. And my hope is that with the Faith Prayer Circle, I know actually, and it's already been accomplishing this, the Faith Prayer Circle has been helping people deepen their connection with prayer, and especially the newbies, because that's a sensitive space, and the enemy or the evil one or that darker energy or that distraction energy, it doesn't really matter the name, it likes to come in and try to trip us up from time to time. So I feel it's important to point out that yes, even if you are a prayer warrior or you're beginning your prayer warrior journey, it's normal to veer away. It is normal to veer away, and that your prayer relationship changes. I feel to say to give that permission to somebody. It's okay if your prayer relationship changes. It doesn't look on the outside the way maybe you grew up, for the way maybe it doesn't look the way it looked when you grew up, right? Maybe it doesn't look like you going into the church and praying with the congregation, or maybe it was out of the church and now it's changing into going into the church, praying with everyone. It's important to know that it's a personal and private relationship, a personal journey, a personal experience that is unique to every single person. There is no one way to have a prayer relationship. There is no one way. There are common ways like going to church, temples, whatever, and you know, those ways have some validity to them because the elders of our past and the ancestors created those ways of gathering, and some of them have evolved in a way for power and control, but the original intention of creating a gathering of people to come in prayer uh, was to unite the agreements of each other in prayer, to unite, to be able to commune, to have community, to have relationship with God together. It is very important, definitely, to have relationship with God, with your creator, with that which you connect with and how you call her alone. That's very important. And just as important, it's important to come together in practice prayer in community, because what? When two or more come together in prayer, in agreement, it becomes so. When I speak something and you agree, there it is. It's happening. And um, I'm speaking now. Many people are going to be watching this and have been watching the videos and will be watching some of these and will come into contact with us individually and together and whatever way, and anything that we create, I put out there that many people will come online and even begin and spark a prayer relationship and deepen their relationship with the divine. I speak out that they will if already on a prayer journey, will explore their relationship even more and explore it in many fun ways, interesting ways, change their ways, evolve their ways, and increase their faith exponentially. I pray and know that they will have an unwavering faith, doubt free faith, no doubt whatsoever. No one can get in the way between them and their divine heavenly lover and friend. I put that out there, and with your agreement, it is so. And see, that right there is prayer, guys. This wasn't in a church building and da, da, da. No, it just is where you are. That's prayer, right? Where your intention and where is your heart. And then again, the importance of gathering people just makes it that much stronger. One powerful prayer, especially a child's prayer. The more was going around, she was spreading all the fairy dust on everybody. So I'm sure the ripple effect of the blessings have been amazing and beyond our understanding, because the purity of a child's heart. But when one person's prayer is really powerful, so imagine bringing many people together. Now, just explaining the one of the intention of this prayer circle, the start of this prayer circle. I'm saying again for those that are new, is that many years ago, maybe like 7 years ago, almost, I was in meditation. Maybe 5, 6 years ago, I was in meditation. One with a uh, what do you call it? Medicine teachers, elders, and then also in within myself. A few different times this happened to me, and I heard the Holy Spirit tell me, these were the very specific words I heard. I have closet prayer warriors. Spirit said, I have many closet prayer warriors, but not enough of them come together in prayer. And told me, I want you to bring the prayer warriors together to pray, because now is the time and things. And I was being shown and like feeling a bunch that Spirit was helping me understand of what is to come, some things that are coming in the future. That's going to be really important for prayer warriors specifically to come together to pray. Oh, there you are, Lamar. Um, so that was part of the intention of getting this prayer circle together. It took me about 5, 6 years to actually listen and obey to that command, though, because it took me some time of still working on myself, and I didn't feel really ready yet. I didn't feel like, oh, the Spirit's putting this on my heart and calling me to do this, but I needed to deepen my relationship a little bit more, and I was doing more purging and cleansing and healing of myself. Um, then I end up going to another place that really opened my connection with with the divine, and when I was in deep meditation again, and I heard, start the prayer circle now. Now's the time. It was like a loud command. I was like, okay. And that was about almost 2 years ago. So here we are, right? Bringing together prayer warriors specifically, because as we know, everything that's going on, and it makes sense to me now, like, oh yeah, I see why prayer warriors need to come together. And I love that I heard the Spirit acknowledge at that time, the Holy Spirit said, I have many closet prayer warriors. That was highlighted. I have many closet prayer warriors. And I love that Spirit said that, because that shows, yes, Yahweh has an army, and beyond an army on this planet, of wonderful prayer warriors who are humble. And we do the prayer behind closed doors. But and I feel like I'm just making, not the Spirit said this, but I'm just making my own judgment, that with the way society has become less connected because of social media, whatever way, and more people have social anxieties or fear of disconnecting, even prayer warriors have not been coming together in prayer as much as they used to in gathering. And I feel like that is changing now, definitely, with people like this doing things like this and other things. I feel the change, the shift happening. And especially after COVID, more and more people are valuing gathering and coming together. And so this is a perfect time for us to have this, because now people value it. So now we can give the information and remind people, especially our prayer warriors who already have that strong relationship, that we need to come together and unite our power, because the ripple effect is strong. You want wars to stop? You know how much record there is out there of wars, of towns going through famine, of just all kinds of people going through sicknesses, all kinds of records from all over the world. Okay, you could look it up online, you could find this everywhere, of people coming together in prayer, a village coming together in prayer. The war stopped. No war. The famine is gone. They're fruitful again. The land is restored. Miracles. When you bring prayer warriors together, we make space for miracles to happen. And miracles are not explained by the logical mind whatsoever. They were miraculous in nature. They are the part of life that is magic, that is beyond our understanding. And all we have to do is trust, believe, know, have faith, and come together in agreement for it to be, and let it be, and play in that. That's all we have to do. And so you want to see change, start with you. And every wisdom person has told us this. Start with the man in the mirror, right? We start with ourselves. So how could we create? And in this space, my intention is that we create and learn and maintain and strengthen our prayer relationship by ourselves, of course, and then practice coming together and doing that as well, and talking about it and exploring more, and questioning what we need to question so we could figure things out together. I love that Lamore also explained that even though she veered away, her journey was still within. She still had recognition that prayer was still something she wanted to do, and she connected with God, and she had recognition that it was within. So that tells us something. That tells us no matter where we go, no matter where we go, we are always connected. No matter if you're in a prison cell, okay, you always have connection. No one can cut us off from that relationship. So let that be a truth that is remembered and recognized and heard, especially because we're in a time where people can just kind of speak anything and say now that a truth is not a truth, and a untruth is a truth, you know. But I feel like this is why it's on our hearts to remind people to listen to our bodies, like Brooke was saying, because that is your number one gauge of what's actually true or not. To have a practice of relationship of prayer, so you can very clearly always know that no matter where you go, no one can cut you off from source. It's not possible, period. So don't let that lie ever come to you, ever erode you, ever dim your light. That is not true. Your faith, hold on to your faith. My teacher would always say that in a gathering, and he would be singing, and one of my teachers, Clay, he would be singing, and he was a master at this, and so beautiful, and he was very childlike, and I'm so grateful he was one of the first teachers that have come to me in the medicine world. And I'm grateful for that, because he was one of the very few teachers I've ran into who was very childlike in his way of sharing the message of love, of fun, of grace, of truth. And he would highlight the word faith in one of his songs. He would say, "Hold on to your faith," and he would say it really loud, and that really like stood strong. Um, so yeah, so while you were talking, Lamora and Brooke too, one of the things, when she comes back, I'll do this. Spirit showed me a vision and wanted me to do like an energy, to guide us through an energy work on ourselves, a prayer. So I'll guide us through that. But one other thing that Lamora was mentioning was how silence has come to her. Oh, well, first I want to talk about relationship. I've been there too, where her relationship was very, it sounds like codependency. It sounds like there was a deep codependency there, and a fear of being alone. And that's what's interesting about creating a prayer relationship too. It will challenge you to be in a space of silence at some point, and being alone at some point. For those prayer warriors, every prayer warrior's gone through it, where you have to get comfortable with being alone, and in that then can connect deeper with people when coming together. And for new prayer warriors, that might sound a little counterproductive, productive or sound not accurate, but it's true. When we're alone and can get comfortable with being alone, and that can feel very scary. It was very scary for me at first too, being alone and having to be, you know, single. I've been single and celibate for almost 4 years now, and just letting that giving my body a rest. Like we talk about how we need to take a rest. I've been giving my body a romantic rest, you know, a sexual rest, an energetic rest, and emotional rest, letting my body heal from all the partners and all the emotional trauma and all the things that happened before. So when we connect with somebody sexually, energetically, their energy, their karma intertwines with us, and we become that. Even if we're not married, we essentially become one with whoever we're in relationship with, even if it's just dating. And that's not talked about often enough. I do feel to speak about this soon in the future, um, in communities, to help us understand more the energetics of relationship and how that works. But when we allow ourselves a time of being single and by ourselves and celibate, even, it gives your body time to rest, regroup, rejuvenate, and and especially if you're doing things, healthful things in between, like detoxing, eating healthy, prayer, going to nature spaces, uh, connecting with community, connecting with same-sex friendships, women's circles, maybe men's circles. Um, it allows us to be able to. Spirit told me to say journaling for someone, and I just heard Spirit also just told me to say creating, doing your art as well. It allows us to use those tools, almost like washing away the old energy that cling to us, that we intertwine, that we entangled with. And as we do that, then we can make space more for the Holy Spirit to shine through more, to be able to hear more clearly. And like Lamore was saying, she always felt God in her. It's not like God went anywhere. God doesn't go anywhere. But when we have a bunch of gunk on top of our that essence, it can be hard to see and to have a relationship. It's almost like having a full bottle of, some kind of liquid, but it's a dark liquid, right? And you want a clear bottle of clean water, but first you have to empty out the the other stuff you don't want, right? The dark liquid. You have to let it clear and purge out before you can start filling it with clean water. Otherwise, if you try to fill it with clean water, well, that dark water is just going to become more dark water, you know. So in that way, when we allow ourselves an emotional, a romantic rest, we then can we create space for the divine to have a romantic, even, and emotional relationship within. And this is a process I've been going through. It's been really interesting, where at first too, I think it's important to say that fear, I definitely, in the first year or two, I had that fear, and I even felt like I was going through withdrawals from the addictions of relationship, connection with someone. um oh, she went, okay, from the addictions and relationship. She probably is going to come back. um, and withdraws because it being connected with somebody, it does feel like a drug. It enlivens all that, those endorphins and all that happy stuff in us. So I felt like very like an addict the first year, even two, and I was very tempted to go back into the dating pool. Even made, like, dating profiles, and then the same day, like, oh no, let me not. I need to, you know. Um, and the longer I was able to stay celibate, and it's even in the first year, and be by myself, the easier it became to even recognize the quality of people that I used to entertain or used to let in my energy or intertwine and entangle energy with. Um, but the longer I've been in that, then it went through phases so far, I've noticed. And once I got past the addiction phase, that cleared a little bit. I didn't feel like an addict. There was fear started to settle in of being alone. In year three, I would say, your fear definitely started. Like, I didn't want to be alone. I was really dealing with that part a lot. Then the next phase that's been happening now, that I'm not in fear anymore of being alone, I feel good. I actually prefer being alone. I like it. Though I do still always have had desire still to have relationship. I went through a period of not wanting, just hating men all together, or relationship altogether. And then um, healing that and respecting it for what it can be, realizing what it can be and what it's supposed to be, learning what healthy relationship is supposed to be. And in that purging, allowing myself space, I my emotional sensitivities, my energetic sensitivities, my nervous system has become even more sensitive in a good way, activated and in tune to know instantly what's around me, who's around me, if this is a good partner or not, if this is a good situation or not. The body telling me what is right. When I'm in front of a man now, and I also had to make this just decision in my mind too. But when I'm in front of a man, my body has always told me if that person was right or not. I just didn't know the language of the body, and I didn't know how to listen to it. And then when I did learn a little bit of the language of the body in the past, I just chose not to listen to it because their smile was so cute or whatever, or they were talking like, all the things, or smelling so good or whatever. And I let those things get in the way. Then I learned in my mind, I said, I'm going to choose me. I'm going to choose to now I know when my body, because I see the history. I see the history. God has always spoken to me through my body. And when my body as a woman, the history has shown that when my body starts to go into this masculine stance in front of a man, that's my body trying to protect itself. That is not the guy for me. If my body does not relax and feel safe and at ease in a man's presence, and I'm getting confirmation of that from spirit right now, then that is not the man for you, right? Or if you're somebody looking for a man, that's just an indicator. For especially for women, it's important for us to know that this relationship with God is, our body is one of the tools to have that deep relationship. Um, and so even I had to practice it consistently, even because there's many people who smile and look cute. They got the muscles, they got the whatever we like, the style, everything. They come off with the mask of so much kindness and all this stuff at first. But celibacy is definitely one of those tools that will show you real quick who people are. And if you, at bare minimum, my first test was at bare minimum giving a month long of a test to someone, letting a full moon cycle go through to really see a person. You could see a person in a full moon cycle, 1 month. Then you can definitely see a person. Another layer to it, another test is seeing them after one season. So 3 months. And you got 4 seasons, right? 12 months. Winter, fall, spring, summer. There's 3 months in each season. And that's a cycle in itself. So you got cycles within cycles within cycles that will start to reveal to you the layers of not only who you are in your celibacy, in your relationship with you, but also who people are around you, especially in the romantic sense. And it's very powerful if you observe and witness this like this. But you have 1 month is a you could see a person. Pretty most people can't hold their mask on for 1 month. You can knock a lot of flies out in 1 month. Make them wait 3 months. Oh, there's very few kings make it through that way. You know. Now, if you a wonderful a person to truly take a good look at, to truly give opportunity to, how how are they in all 4 seasons? How are they in all 4 seasons? Now, this requires a deep relationship with you, strong in your solar plex chakra, strong in our self awareness, our self care, our self relationship. Finding that relationship with yourself and contentment with yourself to be able to maintain celibacy for all 4 seasons, a whole year, to be able to look, you know, and then for some, maybe even further than that. That's a powerful person. And if you want to attract a powerful person, you have to be a powerful person. You know, it's very interesting. So I'm just saying this to say, because this is all a part of that relationship, creating relationship with God, taking time to ourselves and in silence, getting to know ourselves, and moving through that stuff that doesn't feel um, truthful or that feels addictive in nature, and just observing rather and witnessing rather than judging ourselves. Um,
I'd like to say
yeah,
something really
please. I was
quick.
going to
That
ask you.
part's
Yeah.
so important, not judging others or ourselves. That it was the most important lesson I learned from being alone was when I was alone, I had been putting that off for so long. That's why I was literally binging relationships. When I finally sat in that uncomfortability, I was finally able to not judge myself anymore, to really just look at myself in the mirror. That's when I learned mirror meditation intuitively. I started practicing that. And I would just stare myself deep in my eye and look at my soul and just cry and just sit in silence and just be aware of what was going on, aware of what I've been putting off, aware of fearing my own self, of my own potential. And now I have this unconditional love for myself and for others, and this understanding no matter what. I saw myself change through so many seasons. I've seen myself look so many ways, and just, you don't judge people. I don't judge people anymore. I don't look at them differently or nitpick at little things because I've seen and been through so many things now. It's okay. I accept myself in all those phases because I allowed myself to be alone and to love myself in all those phases before loving someone else and putting someone else first. So if anyone is watching this that is afraid to be alone, please let that inspire you, because there is so much light on the other side. I remember like vividly seeing my future self one day in the shower, and I felt like I was like on a lever. I could go forward or go backwards and like stay the same state. I could easily get into another relationship. There's always something to get into, some distraction, or I can take this leap of faith into darkness and to trust myself to choose me for one time in my life. And I thought my future self told me, you're either going to do it now, or you're going to do it later. And you might as well do it now because this is the time. And I did it, in every day since then. I've been happy that I made that choice. And it's not just one choice you make and everything is easy and roses. It's a continuous thing every day, every decision, every thought, to choose yourself, to be here, be now, and be present and sit in that. And it's definitely possible. There's a lot of people that do it. And that's why these prayer circles are very important.
Yes, that is so true. That is so true. It's really important to, and you know what? Also, the quality, the longer I notice, the longer you're with yourself and you get comfortable with yourself, the quality of people, places, things you accept, you do, what your boundaries become powerful. But I also went through a period of where this was last year for me, where I was questioning my boundaries and letting my boundaries get so high to a point of starting to question, like, oh, is it too much, is it this and that. I went through that phase of questioning my boundaries because my boundaries were ready to actually expand and become more, but I was in going through a moment of looking at the boundaries I already discovered, created, and saying, "Oh, is that too much?" And again, fear started coming up. Will I attract anybody? Will I? And it and the point of that phase of being single and finding a relationship with me and with was to deepen my relationship with God. It was to deepen my relationship with God and to point out the fear, pointed out to show me, look, there's still something here, that you're afraid that there's not something there for you, that if you have the requirements that you have, that you'll be too much or it won't be enough or whatever. And it forced me to go through the whole year of breaking down, looking at each fear that came up, of questioning my own boundaries that I cultivated at the time, and giving myself permission, going through a process of giving myself permission to say it's okay for me to add more boundaries there, add more boundaries. And I learned through therapy that boundaries, at first, when I started practicing finding out what boundaries are, I started years ago with, oh, um, if you treat me this way, then I'm not gonna. You have to go. If you do this, you have to go. And I learned that boundaries is actually has everything to do with you, has nothing to do with anybody else. It's you deciding what you will and will not do, what you will and will not participate in, because you only have power over yourself. We only have power over ourselves. So having a boundary is what? Just deciding, I will practice this every day. I will not participate in that. I will go to these kinds of spaces that make me feel safe, well, whole, loved, secure. I will not go to places that make me feel this place, this way, fear, negative, this, that, bring me down. I will participate in conversations that uplift me. I will not speak in conversations that are not that way. In fact, I won't even stay in the room when there's conversations going on that aren't adding to my light or adding to the love consciousness of this planet. These are boundaries that are being decided in my mind, brought up in my heart, that were brought up, and in that year were being questioned, like, oh, is that too much? Or and fears were being brought up, but that mean I would be alone because I would lose that group of friends, or I would lose that community, or and had to. This is part of why learning to be alone and having that time with yourself is important, because then as you are elevating energetically and deepening that connection that you have with source within you, there will be periods where you would be alone, because everything that was resonating with you before, environments, people, situations, experiences, things, will no longer resonate, and they will shed and fall away like the leaves on the trees in the fall season. And there will be a time of winter where it is quiet, lonely, still, feels cold because you don't have a warm body next to you. And this is the space that allows us to be dead to the old, what was old, and prepare for the new that's coming, the spring, the new people that are coming, or to be with you, who are in alignment with your boundaries, who don't think your boundaries are enough. Actually, you need more. Who feel like your relationship, let's deepen that. Let's deepen that relationship with God a little more. Let me give you some more prayer um, phrases, some more affirmations. It gives you, but there is a quiet period. And that period, that winter period, is pretty scary. It can be scary, especially if we're clinging on to the old and the old opinions of the society around us, of the community, and especially family around us. That's a hard one to let go of, even family, you know, and um, and let them go through their process of having to change, or and decide to come up with you, to move forward with you, or stay where they are and love them from afar, or and pray for them. Sometimes that's all we can do for any of the past that we are working on shedding or been shedding, is just pray for it and watch how that, in that power that you have to pray, that we have to pray, that way we can uplift them and help them along their way. And I've seen it time and time again in my family, my friends and community, as I've shed and had to, remove myself and really deepen in within and become comfortable. I've had to come to the fear of being alone, and, oh, I have to let go of this and that and them, and finally finding the courage enough to do it. And but still, of course, your love for whoever never changes. You always love, because we're just loving beings, and we want to see all those around us do well. So all we can do at that time, this is where prayer warriorness comes in. You're deepening your relationship in prayer. Deepening your relationship in prayer does more for them than you can putting your hand out to lift them. There's a phrase called wu wei. I love this, wu wei. I want to say it's Japanese, but wu wei, it means doing, not doing. Doing, not doing. I love Wu Wei because it basically is talking about how we can do more in our not doing anything. We can do more when we're seemingly not doing a dang thing. That's meditation. That's closet prayer. That's the power of keeping yourself at peace, at ease. when there's war going around you. You can do a lot more in keeping yourself at peace, at ease, saying affirmation and prayer in your mind and whatever for the environment than actually attacking. So many people did this. Gandhi, like, there's many people who did this, and they show us these examples that it's powerful. Many monks do this. There's monks, there's people in caves and all these other things, and who spend time regularly, um, who go to forest and different things. I go to the forest often, nearly every week. I spend at least like 4 hours or more in the forest, and it's just me in the forest. It's my date with the divine, and I spend time there to revive, to heal, to relationship, to dance with the trees, to play with the water, to connect and hear so many things. I hear so much from the divine speaking and teaching me more about me. And then also, I take time to pray and speak out. And the relationship that I've created and I've cultivated in the forest has been in many yogis and many, you know, spiritual people and other just practitioners have spent time. This history, everyone nearly spends time in the forest of some kind. There's something about that space. Also, the desert. I've been feeling called to go back to Joshua Tree in a few weeks. So I'm about to go to Joshua Tree again. Also, the desert. Um, and then the beach, like these terrains and mountains. For some reason, there's something sacred and spiritual about these spaces where if you spend time alone in these spaces, not only is it will help you purge and clean your energy, but if you sit in silence, you will get so much healing and messages from the divine. Your relationship will deepen. And you also can cultivate your prayer relationship as well. So I spend time, I speak to the trees, I talk, and now I'm in this phase. I talked about the different phases I've been through so far in the last 4 years. Now I'm in this phase where romance is happening. I'm in a romantic relationship with myself, and it's just deepening and deepening. I'm in a romantic relationship with the divine, and it's expanding more. I'm exploring more of what romance is. I can go to the forest. You can go and touch the land, and I just instantly feel just the only word I could think about is romance. And I just feel it's more than happy. It's a lot more than happy. It's even more than joy. It's sweetness and warmness in my heart. It's secure. It's safe. And it just, I know anywhere I can hug a tree and I'm hugged back. And that's a space where um, is accessible for all of us, So there's nowhere I can go where I don't feel like I'm not in relationship. So now, even though yes, I'm single, and I yearned for a while to have a human being's body near me, um, now the desire for that is not like it's there, but it's not a necessity. I could take it or leave it. I feel very fulfilled as I am. I feel very fulfilled whenever I'm in near my period. Usually is when I start to feel more agitated or more uncomfortable or more like I need more cuddles. Um, of course, friends and family, we cuddle and we do that as well. My daughter loves to cuddle often. My son, but kitties, animals, So in that way, we learn to also get what we need, not just from one person. And from being in the relationship that I was in before, codependent relationships, I needed to get everything I needed from one person. And now I've learned that we can get everything we need emotionally fulfilling for emotional fulfillment through community. Um, and I get my romance bug filled more and more with the earth. And so that's a relationship I'd love to explore with you, anybody who wants to. If you can email me at faithprayercircles@gmail.com, I'd be happy to share more and guide you through meditations that I love to guide. I teach yoga and we go through this as well. Um, I want to, do you have to go? Do you have more time or what are you feeling? I want to ask
I
you a
have a
few
couple. I
questions.
have a couple more minutes.
Okay, no worries. Okay. Um, Bless you. So I want to ask you one last thing. What is your prayer relationship looking like now? And maybe your faith, even. And then maybe what advice would you have for someone who is exploring their faith, they're in that period specifically where they're trying. They're trying to be in that single period, in that alone space. Um, Maybe talk to two people who are closet prayer warriors already established, but going through the singlehood journey, creating relationship with themselves, discovering relationship with themselves, and then also the person who's new at being a prayer warrior and also new to they took on a double whammy of a journey. They're new to prayer and they're new to creating relationship, discovering relationship with themselves.
First, I send so much love and abundance and understanding to all of everyone that's going through both of those journeys, because it is very tough. It is very scary. Even if we may not know each other, I am here for you. We are connected deeply, and I feel what everyone is going through. We are all feeling the same things. So you are not alone, despite what you may think. My prayer, what right now, that relationship is ever changing, ever growing. I'm still learning. Every day is different. Um, Dealing with hormonal shifts as a woman, hormonal changes, dealing with, your mental, your brain chemistry changing every day. It is really tough. And then being around different people and different energies and taking on a lot of things, it is very hard to stay grounded and to keep reminding yourself of these things that you're working on. It feels sometimes like you're taking a couple steps forward and then a bunch of steps backwards. And sometimes that's how I've been feeling lately, actually. I've been feeling I have these moments of deep alignment and understanding, and just I feel like I'm flying on top of the world. I feel like I'm so connected and so plugged in, and I feel so abundant. And then other times where I feel so lost, I feel like I don't know what to do. And it's something that I've actually learned since the day we met at the retreat is just to sit in that. And instead of trying to, before I would take this approach of, I need to dissect this, I need to figure this out, I need to unload this and unpack it and like break it down each atom to figure out why this is happening, how do I change this. It's so much energy that I put out doing that, and it doesn't help because I'm still feeling it anyway. So I've been practicing a lot, just watching, observing it, being in it instead of trying to break it apart and tear it up and not feel it. It's okay to feel it. I'm aware that I'm feeling what I'm feeling, and that's okay. And I'm still pushing through. I'm still waking up every morning. Before I wake up in the morning, before I open my eyes, I'm telling myself these mantras and these affirmations, and I'm feeding myself this pure positive energy, because when I open my eyes, sometimes I don't have control of what happens in the day. And I work with troubled youth, teenage girls. So, and it's at a facility, it's in a group home. So I go into their house and I work there for 10-hour shifts, and it is a lot. And that is the reason sometimes I feel it's hard for me to stay in my practice when I'm there in those moments, because I'm taking in a lot of energies. So I put in a lot of work outside of when I'm there to keep myself grounded, to keep reminding myself of these things, and so that I have these anchors to hold on to in those moments so I don't get lost. And then I get there and it's a little bit uneven pavement, it feels like. And that is life. And life is, I don't judge myself in those moments. I naturally get frustrated or I get upset, but just taking a deep breath and understanding and being aware. Yeah, it's okay. Having that for both sides, I think that is the main thing. Always bringing myself back to my breath, because I'm holding my breath. I'm not even aware, and I'm upset and I'm angry and I'm thinking so much. Wait a minute, relax. It's okay. Be in this.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's really powerful. Yeah, you're definitely dealing with a lot of energies in that work. I can imagine. Yeah. Um, I'm a kids yoga instructor, and then I'm also a mom, and that kind of thing. That's where I get the most frazzled is when I'm with my kids, and they've been great teachers to help me bring myself back to present. So kids, when regardless of the age, they will always be great practice for bringing us back to center for sure. Um, what do you feel about what would be your advice to someone again who is in that period of their beginning their self discovery, their self relationship, and also closet warriors. They're closet prayer warriors right now.
Mhm. What really helped me was the mirror meditation, which was that
Mm.
sitting in silence. And instead of, I love to talk. I've always loved to use my throat chakra to say so much and to, like, that's my way of understanding. And so sitting in the mirror, in front of the mirror, and not opening my mouth and just allowing things to come in, allowing God to speak to me, that's allowing yourself to accept. That really helped me throughout my process. That still helps me. It reminds me, because I've noticed that when I would get out of alignment, I wasn't really acknowledging myself. I wasn't even really looking at myself in the mirror. Doing that locks you in, and that's when I've received the most wisdom. That's when I've received the most healing, because when I look at myself in the mirror, I'm able to, am reminded of these things that happened to me when I was a child that I wasn't even aware of. And so
Mm.
sometimes when you're first beginning that journey, it's like a roller coaster of emotions. You're maybe
Mhm.
excited because this is something new, but then you're afraid. And, that healing process, you can go through resentment towards your parents, or towards the people that hurt you, or the traumas that happen. But sitting in that silence, sitting in the mirror, looking at yourself, observing yourself, it allows you to have understanding for yourself and for whoever played a part, and God and the earth and the creator of what happened, and that was meant to happen despite how much it hurt you. But slowly, sitting in it in silence allows you to go at the pace of healing that you're supposed to, your divine pace, instead of rushing it. Rushing it is very scary. It's not good for you, because then you're opening your eyes to things that you weren't supposed to see yet. And that can sometimes bring you into psychosis. A lot of things can happen towards that. So I say just moving slowly, and you move slowly by focusing on your breath, and you sit in stillness and meditation. Even if I didn't know what meditation was, I didn't know how to do that. Looking back, I was doing it the whole time, but just being aware, constantly sitting there, and instead of being upset, being angry, being all these feelings, I'm more aware. I'm like literally thinking about myself sitting back in the seat and watching these things pass by. I'm aware that I'm beginning, that resentment, the anger is rising inside of me. I'm aware that it's making me feel angry, and making, like, I'm aware that my fists are clenched, or my stomach is tight, or I'm not breathing, like I'm not consciously breathing.
Yes, yeah, that's those are awareness is definitely really important. Because when we find awareness, then we can begin the changes. And it's
Hmm.
important, like you mentioned before, what's very common that comes with awareness is immediate judgment. So it's very
Hmm.
important to reiterate grace, giving ourselves grace. And I only been
Yes.
learning grace now in this last year, but man, I was very harsh on myself in my journey thus far, and now grace. I'm bringing so much grace to myself, and it feels good. So if we can
Hmm.
be uh, non-judgmental to ourselves in that process of awareness coming up, of noticing, oh, this is not right, this is not right, or this is happening, and just allowing it to be, um, and then having people community. This is where bringing prayer warriors together is important, because when we're going through the changes and the awareness and the discovery, and especially the self love exploration, we actually do need community to help us move through some of that, to even maybe carry some of that, to help alchemize some of that when we don't know how to yet, some of that energy. So we got you. We are prayer warriors here. This is the space, and there's many other spaces as well. um, the last thing that I want to ask you before we close out the prayer, you mentioned teenagers. Actually, this is something I think is a good thing to mention. In your experience thus far with the teenagers that you're working with, what are you seeing in that space? Because you're working with troubled youth. So I'm assuming maybe in their rehabilitation, right? Or whatever activities are available, resources that are available around them. Something, I'm sure someone has come to them with maybe trying to introduce faith or prayer or some kind of spiritual something to help them, give them as a tool. Um, what have you seen in this space with the teenagers, um, that they've naturally gravitated towards, when it comes to, I would say, the spiritual self exploration, if at all? Um, and what have you seen has worked? Maybe what have you seen has worked? Um, a few things are coming to me intuitively that Spirit wants me to say a few words, but I want to hear your experience so far, and then maybe even if there was mistakes that you've made in trying to help someone, uh, one of the teenagers, in their journey of that, and what you found, okay, what didn't work about that and what did, you know
Mhm.
what do you think they
I
respond to?
say the most important thing I've learned throughout this journey of working with this demographic is not forcing anything, not
Mm-hmm.
trying. Initially, when I went into it, going into anything, I'm super excited. I'm overconfident. I'm like, yes, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna change their life. I'm gonna bring my yoga and meditation and the sound bowls. And then I'm like, okay, wait, let's reel it in, slow down. They may not be ready for that. So when I went into it, when I actually stepped in, I was like, okay, I'm just going to be an observer. I'm just going to observe and I'm just going to be me. And that was the best choice that I made, is just being myself, because the relationship between the staff and the youth is very unique, because all the staff are so different. Everyone is so different. Everyone worships a different God or has different religions or spirituality. And just going in there with our own unique backgrounds and belief systems allows the youth to decide what they believe in, what they want. A lot of them don't have a strong relationship with their families. So they've kind of burnt those bridges or cut those ties. Not indefinitely, I don't believe, but or so they feel. So they are looking for anything. And that's how they've kind of gotten into these positions in their life, because they looked to the wrong people that got them into bad decisions and bad places. But I go in there and I be myself. I try to exemplify what I believe to be alignment, what I believe to be peace and healing, because they learn more and they listen more when I'm not talking or when I'm not trying to force anything. I have some youth that are more religious. They prefer to go to church. I have one youth in particular who I did introduce the sound healing to, and she loves it. And I introduced it to her because it felt intuitive, it felt right. I feel that she is this like beautiful witch in her life, but she's not aware of it. She's still healing, she's still going through a lot. So this demographic, they're young, they've been through so much. I'm not going in there expecting to change their lives or to do anything like that. My goal is to plant seeds that are fertile, and I water them as much as I can. And one day I pray that they will see the flowers that are growing inside of them, see that they have everything that they need inside of them. I have had some situations which we could talk about another time, because it's so many stories I can go into. But in particular, one youth I had, and she wasn't there for a long time, but she had a lot of traumas that she was healing or going through. Father passing away, psychosis, and alcohol problems, only 17, just going through a lot. But I saw the spiritual light being inside of her through that mirror meditation that I talk about. That's how I was able, and that's how I'm able to meet people beyond surface level, because I meet myself beyond surface level. I'm looking at myself through my soul. The eyes are the gateway of the soul. And I do that with the youth. And they feel that. They feel the difference between maybe me and a different type of staff. And they're able to confide in me more. And with this youth in particular, from the moment we met, um, the reason why she felt she could approach me and talk to me was because I was drawing, and I was drawing this human with like a torus around them, the force field, the energetic force field, and the chakras. And she was just so enthralled by it. And she sat right next to me, and she was so close, and she looked me in my eye, and a lot of our moments were like that. It was just very personal and personable. And it just felt like she was very lost, and she was trying so hard to stay like in this reality. I could see her fighting demons on the psychosis of not knowing what's real and what's fake, and really trying to come to terms with that. And she would try to lock into that by looking into my eyes, by, that. So, um, with situations like that, it's very hard. It's very hard not to take those things home. But what inspires me is like those situations, because I showed up for myself, because I choose to continue to show up for myself. I'm able to be of essence and to help people like her in the world.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for doing that work. Thank you. Because the ripple effect of that is just, I already know, amazing. I already know it's amazing. Um, let's close out with prayer. Um, Holy Spirit, Creator, I thank you so much. Thank you so much for this medicine. Thank you for this information. Thank you for this space. Thank you for the path that you've put us on. Brooke and Lamore, myself, all us faith prayer warriors. Thank you for the path that you put us on so that we can have and enjoy the relationship that is available to us, that you offer, that is just a deep love, a deep, wonderful friendship and connection. Thank you for helping us through every phase of it. Thank you for helping us through every phase of it, helping us surrender to every phase of it, letting us truly fall in love, letting us fall open in love, letting our petals just fall open so gently, and surrendering to the blossoming of the relationship with you, with Yah One. Thank you so much for those teenagers, the teenagers that Lamore is working with and has had an impact on. Thank you so for bringing her light in their space and their light to her space, and the mutual dance and relationship and learning that happens there towards the highest good for all. Thank you for her medicine. Thank you for their medicine. Thank you for creating a safe space for them. I pray for the teenagers. I pray for those teenagers she's ever touched, and anyone that has I've ever touched, and any teenagers that are connected to us in any kind of way, whether they just saw us for even a moment or so in the grocery store, in the back of our head, or maybe we saw the back of their head just in passing. Any that we are connected to, I pray for all of them. Please bring the heavenly white light upon all of them. Protect their mind, their mental health, emotional health, physical health, spiritual health, creative health. And I ask if you can snip away now, which brings me to that energy work. Actually, I was going to say, I asked if you can snip away now any cords of attachments to them that are not in alignment with their highest good and their good health, especially for their mental, emotional, physical wealth. I ask, please cut those cords now. Cut those cords away for them. Give them clarity, and help that clarity, and give them the tools that they need to maintain that clarity as consistently as possible, so that they may be in alignment with truth, in alignment with you, in alignment with love, with joy, with what is available for them to enjoy and share, and help them know that they are worthy to receive that. They are worthy to be that, to believe that, to experience that, to speak, think, feel, and hear that, and to enjoy the joy of giving that as well. Thank you so much for taking care of their health, all the teenagers we know. In the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, I like to pray, and I thank you so much for this wonderful, beautiful day, this blessings of today. And I also just want to take a moment, real quick, to bring our hands above our head. I'm going to show you what I said I was going to show you guys. Make sure your feet are planted on the floor if you can. If not, that's okay. But have the intention that part of you, the lower half of you, is connected, I like to say, to the Earth Star. I am tethered to the Earth Star. You can call her Gaia, Mother Earth, however you'd like. And then bringing your hand. Now, you can do both hands, you can do one hand. The point is to mostly be at the crown here, because our hands have a magnetic energy in them. We are healers, everybody, everybody. No one specific. Everybody is a healer. It's just more people. Some people have practiced the capability more than others. So we're practicing. We're using our healing hand to neutralize the crown chakra, to neutralize some of the space. It also pulls out some any stuckness, any negative energies that don't need to be there, that maybe have covered over like dust on a counter, right? So we're just letting our hand pull some of it out. If you've been in meditation practice, or if you've been in a certain relationship with your body, you be able to instantly feel, especially if you sit in silence with yourself, to cultivate this feeling or relationship. You could feel instantly energy moving in your body at the crown, maybe through your spine, through your chakras, through your nervous system. Maybe you feel more ease, or maybe there's some purging and healing that needs to happen. So you might start to cry, you might start to feel emotional, or something come up. But your brain, this is a good way to clean the brain as well. Take a deep breath in and then exhale. And you can allow as many of those breaths as you need, just like that. But when you need a moment of just calm peace, especially for us, those who are just coming online, meaning your crown chakra, the psychic space, this antenna, this area, this entry point for divine information, if it's just coming online and starting to come on, this could be very sore, or very, it could, you could have a lot, and maybe it's not connected with the heart chakra yet. So in this case, what you would do is put one hand on the head, one hand on the heart. And what you do here is you're connecting them, and just holding that intention in your heart is all you need to do, just holding the intention. Then you could also say a prayer out loud if you wish, or within, to make it even more deep for yourself, or to affirm to every cell of your body the affirmation. But I encourage you to just take time at first to just see what happens, become curious. What happens when I put my hand here? Okay, I notice this, and see what you notice. Just see what you notice. Don't have a judgment about it. Just see what you notice. What changes? Does it feel uncomfortable? Does it feel relieving? Do you feel anything releasing? And do you feel any shame, any guilt? What emotions are you feeling? Just let it be and explore. Then next, put one hand on the heart. See what happens there. Okay, now that you have these opposites, this polar effect happening, what's happening there? Again, explore. Then take breaths. Inhale, exhale deeply. Notice how you feel after that, right? So notice what I'm saying, not to make judgments, but just to witness, observe, become curious, and explore. See what happens when you try different things, and try one thing at a time, adding layer upon layer to see, okay, that's how I feel when this happens. That's what I feel when this happens. That, oh, that feels relieving. That feels relaxing. Don't let anybody's wisdom, doesn't matter what wisdom text, doesn't matter what you heard, nothing. One of the teachers I love, Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudha, but there's many others that from other cultures that say the same thing, just in different ways. They say you don't have to read anything. You can, it's great. You don't have to listen to anybody. You can, it's great. But just try the thing and see how you feel. See if it works. If it gives you something good, great, use it. If it's relieving you, use it. And in a healthy way, obviously, using your own power, not taking anything in, and just see what you can do with you. Explore your faculties, the gift we were given. This body has so many things it can do. Now, reading is important at times, because then you can learn some tools like that. Going to a class, going to a retreat, going to a gathering, you can learn some wisdom, some tools that other people picked up from other teachers, and you can try it yourself and see if it works. So don't be ashamed. Then adding your prayer on top of that. Now, if all else fails, if you're really feeling skeptical or uncertain or unclear, maybe you still can't feel anything. Prayer is a great place to start and then also end. So just coming into prayer and just saying to the divine within me, to that which can hear me, to that which powers me, that is my life, whatever you want to say, God, right? I ask for you to show me how I shine, show me how I'm divine, show me the healing capabilities I have, show me my light, show me what I can do, show me what I need to change, right? You can ask this. I give you permission. I make it aware to you that you can ask what you are not certain about, and watch how it will be revealed to you very quickly, either in that instant or the day to come or the weeks to come. It will reveal to you. And So know that you have this power too. Don't let anybody try to tell you that I will heal you. We can do all the things on the outside for you. We can give you all these things. Yes, there's tools on the outside and there's people that can help, but ultimately, it's you. I love you so much. Thank you so much for coming to this prayer circle. And I wish for you guys just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful time. Remember, you can subscribe here. You can look back anytime. You can email me at faithprayercircles@gmail.com. You can ask for prayer requests. You can send ideas. You could also just ask to be added to the WhatsApp group where there's private information and where you can get the link to join us here on the Zoom as well. Okay. Mwah. Love you.
Thank you so much.
Yes. I'm going to, oh, let's see. I'm going to pause